Welcome to another deep dive into a world where love and danger kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, get ready for a world where fairy tales aren't exactly what they seem.
That's right. We're diving into A Court of Thorns and Roses, the novel by Sarah J. Maas.
And buckle up, because this one takes you on a wild ride.
Even the dedication hints at the intensity of the journey.
Absolutely.
For Josh, because you would go under the mountain for me. I love you.
Trill's just reading that right.
Right. It makes you wonder what kind of love would lead to such dedication and
Oh, yeah.
what exactly is under the mountain.
Well, that's just the beginning of the mystery.
So much mystery right from the start.
Let's start with Feyre, our protagonist.
Okay.
We meet her as a huntress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, someone who has to provide for her family in a really harsh world.
Yeah, that first line. The icy snow crunched under my fraying boots and I ground my teeth. Low visibility, unnecessary noise. I was well on my way to yet another fruitless hunt.
Ooh, yeah.
It just grabs you.
It sets the scene.
It does, and it shows how resourceful she is, but also how desperate the situation is.
Totally.
Yeah,
It's not your typical fairy tale princess waiting around.
right, exactly.
She's tough, she's capable.
Definitely.
And that strength is going to be so important as she navigates this world where humans, they're not at the top of the food chain.
No, they're at the mercy of the high fae, right?
Exactly. The
Now-
high fae are these powerful beings who rule Prythian.
Prythian, and that's the magical land where everything takes place.
Yeah. And Prythian itself is not just one big blob of faeness. It's broken up into these distinct courts.
Oh, so it's like different factions almost.
Yes. Each court has its own ruler, its own vibe, you know.
Like different personality.
Exactly. So you've got the spring court, which is lush and vibrant,
Okay.
ruled by Tamlin. And that's where Feyre ends up, bound by a life debt.
Because of that encounter with the fairy, she mistakes for a wolf.
Exactly. That's the catalyst that throws her into this whole other world.
And their relationship, it's definitely complicated.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, they go from captor and captive to something else entirely.
Well, that's what makes it interesting, right?
Yeah.
The power dynamics between them are all out of whack.
Especially with the treaty that governs humans and fairies.
Ugh, don't even get me started on that treaty. It's so one-sided, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it really highlights the precarious position humans are in.
Always living under the thumb of the Fae.
And then there's Lucien,
Oh, Lucien.
Tamlin's emissary. He's sarcastic observant.
Always lurking with that one missing eye.
Yeah, what's his deal?
He's a mystery wrapped in an enigma. I
Wow.
think his role is way more important than it seems at first.
Okay, so he's not just a sidekick.
He's got secrets. He's got his own struggle. You can tell.
He definitely adds another layer to the story.
But as Feyre is getting used to this whole spring court situation,
Yeah.
there's this looming threat. The Blight.
Ugh, the blight. It just sounds ominous.
It is. It's like this corrupting force that's weakening Prythian from the inside out.
And it's what brings in Amarantha, right?
Yes, Amarantha, she's a power-hungry high fae who thrives on fear and suffering.
She's terrified.
Oh, absolutely. She's the ultimate villain.
And it's through this whole blight chaos that we meet Rysand.
Rysand, High Lord of the Night Court.
Yeah, and at first it seems like he's on Amarantha's side.
He definitely gives off that vibe, doesn't
Totally. What's your first impression of him?
he? He's shrouded in darkness, literally and figuratively. There's danger there, but
Yeah.
also something else. Something that makes you question his motives.
I see it. It's like you can't quite pin him down.
Exactly. He keeps you guessing.
And then as Amarantha tightens her control, Feyre becomes her target.
Under the mountain.
Oh, that place sounds like a nightmare.
It is. It's where Feyre truly faces the cruelty of the Fae world. It's psychological torture, it's physical torment.
Amarantha wants to break her.
But Feyre, she's got this incredible resilience.
He really does.
And it's in those moments of darkness that you see her true strength emerge.
It's inspiring, but also really hard to read.
Oh, it's gut-wrenching. But you can't help but admire her.
And then there's Rysand.
Yeah, he does something unexpected.
He helps Feyre. He even challenges Amarantha.
This is where you start to see the cracks in his facade.
He's not just a villain.
No. There's depth there.
And that symbol he leaves on her arm,
That mark? It's a connection.
like a bond.
It suggests he's going to play a major role in her story.
Oh, I can't wait to see where that goes.
But Amarantha, she doesn't just torment Feyre.
No, she curses Tamlin.
Strips him of his power and essence.
That's awful. What does that say about Tamlin?
It shows even High Lords are vulnerable. It shows how trauma can affect anyone.
I see that.
Tamlin becomes withdrawn passive.
So different from Feyre.
She refuses to be broken.
It's like they're dealing with their imprisonment in completely opposite ways.
Exactly. And that's what makes their dynamic so fascinating.
I can't wait to see how it all plays out.
Oh, it's just the beginning.
It's almost like a mirror image, isn't it?
It is. They're both imprisoned, but they react in such different ways.
And it's that resilience that leads Feyre to that final showdown with Amarantha.
Oh, yeah, that confrontation is intense.
So much tension. Yeah.
And sacrifice.
Feyre has to make an impossible choice.
One that really blurs the lines between right and wrong.
It makes you think, how far would you go to save someone you love?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What would you sacrifice?
And even though Amarantha is defeated, the Spring Court is free, there's still this feeling of unease.
Right, like something's off.
Feyre goes back to the Spring Court, but things have changed.
Trauma does that. It changes you. It changes everything.
Feyre, she's not the same naive girl who first crossed into Prythian.
She's been through too much.
And Tamlin, even though he's free from the curse, he's trapped in a different way.
It's like he's stuck in the past.
He wants to protect Feyre, keep her safe, but
it's suffocating.
he's trying to recreate a world that no longer exists.
Exactly. He wants to go back to how things were before Amarantha.
But that's impossible.
Change is inevitable.
It's sad to see this distance growing between them.
They both love each other, but
they're not on the same page anymore.
it's like they're speaking different languages.
And that's where Rhysand comes in?
He understands Feyre's darkness.
In a way that Tamlin just doesn't.
He sees her strength, her need for freedom.
We see it even when she's still in the Spring Court, trying to recover from everything.
Rhysand's presence is always there,
It's like a whisper in the wind,
planting seeds of doubt.
making her question everything.
He's temptation. He's a path away from Tamlin's control.
But Feyre decides to go back to the human realm, to her family.
And what does she find there?
A gilded cage.
Created by fairy magic.
Her family's living in luxury, but they've been glamored.
Their memories are gone,
It's like Tamlin's way of protecting her is to control everything,
while Rhysand offers choices.
even if those choices are dangerous.
It's two different approaches to love and protection.
And Feyre's family, they're living a lie.
Oblivious to the danger that's lurking.
Feyre tries to warn them, but they can't hear her.
It's heartbreaking.
She doesn't belong in either world anymore.
She's lost.
And then the Spring Court is attacked.
What?
Tamlin is taken captive.
Oh, no.
It's a huge turning point.
Feyre has to make a choice.
She can't avoid Prythian any longer.
She has to go back.
But this time, she's not a captive.
She's going back as a warrior.
She's ready to fight.
For herself. For what she believes in.
It's like everything she thought she knew about love and loyalty, it's all been flipped upside down.
This is where a court of thorns and roses really becomes something else entirely.
So where do we go from here?
Feyre's stepping back into a world that's full of danger and intrigue.
Yet, Crossan, he's always lurking in the shadows.
He's the wild card in all of this.
What role will he play in Feyre's fate?
That's the question that keeps you turning the pages.
It's like she's at a crossroads now, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's like everything's come to a head.
She's been through so much.
And it's only going to get more intense.
This is where A Court of Thorns and Roses really becomes something special.
It's not just a romance anymore. It's about transformation. About finding your power.
We've talked about how resilient she is, how she survives all this trauma.
But it's more than just surviving.
Right. It's like she evolves.
Exactly. She doesn't just bounce back, she grows.
She's not the same Feyre we met in the beginning.
Oh no, not at all.
Think about it. She was just a huntress trying to feed her family.
And now look at her.
She's facing down high lords dealing with fairy politics.
Wielding powers she never knew she had.
It's complete metamorphosis.
It really is.
And it's not always pretty or easy.
No, it's messy. It's painful.
There are times when she doubts herself, when she stumbles.
But she never gives up.
That's what I find so inspiring.
It makes you think, what causes that kind of growth? What pushes someone to become so much more?
Is it just the trauma?
I think it's a mix of things.
Yeah.
The trauma definitely plays a role. It forces her to confront her weaknesses.
But there's also something inside her.
A spark.
The refusal to be broken.
Exactly. And let's not forget the people around her.
Oh yeah, they have a huge impact on her journey.
Think about Tamlin.
He tries to nurture her strength in his own way.
But his approach is...
suffocating.
yes. He wants to protect her, shield her from everything.
Which makes sense after what they've both experienced.
But it's almost like he's holding her back.
Keeping her from spreading her wings.
It's that age-old conflict between love and freedom.
Can you truly love someone and let them be completely free?
Or do you have to sacrifice a part of yourself to make it work?
Big questions.
And then you have Rhysand.
The complete opposite of Tamlin.
He challenges, fair, pushes her,
even manipulates her.
but he also sees her potential
Her power.
in a way that Tamlin never does.
Rysand is like a path less traveled.
A world of possibilities.
A world where Feyre can be powerful and free,
But it's a dangerous world.
full of secrets and shadows.
And that's what makes it so exciting.
It keeps you guessing.
Who to trust? Who's really on Feyre's side?
Is it Tamlin with his stability and protection?
Or Rysand with his darkness and freedom?
It's a reflection of the bigger themes in the book.
It's not just about romance.
Mm.
It's about finding yourself, about breaking free from expectations.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into A Court of Thorns and Roses, what stays with you?
For me, it's that sense of hope. Even in the darkest moments, Feyre never gives up
She chooses to fight,
to embrace her power.
even when the odds are stacked against her.
And that's a powerful message.
It is. It's a story about resilience, transformation, and the courage to be yourself.
Even when the world tries to tell you who you should be.
A Court of Thorns and Roses is a story that will challenge you, inspire you, and leave you wanting more.
It's a journey you won't soon forget.
So if you're looking for a story that will take you on a roller coaster of emotions and leave you thinking about the complexities of love and power,
Then dive into the world of A Court of Thorns and Roses.
you won't regret it.